Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're going to be doing another camera comparison between the iPhone 11 Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S20. And this is the first one I've done of these two. I don't know why I said again, but I'll go ahead and break down basically the camera setups with them, the hardware first. So the Samsung Galaxy S20 has a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, 64 megapixel telephoto lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. Where the iPhone 11 Pro has a triple camera setup as well, a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, a 12 megapixel telephoto lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. So they both kind of have the same camera setup at the most part, for like the same part for both of them. They have the same type of hardware. I will say the camera UIs are a little bit different. The UI, in my opinion, on the Samsung side is a little bit better, but obviously sometimes the iPhones have some cool things going on with them as well in the UI too, so it's not like one is a clear winner every single time. However, what I will say is that with the Samsung Galaxy S20, you have that really cool feature of being able to shoot 8K videos, while the iPhone 11 Pro, you do not have that capability. Is it a big deal? As of right now, probably not, but it can be a big deal at some point. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Again, not like a crazy thing, not like a deal breaker, but that is a total thing to keep in mind for future proofing your device. So in terms of that, that really pretty much covers it. And I'll go ahead and show you guys the videos that I've done and kind of made, or the photos for that matter. Now, on the whole entire video, on the left, the iPhone 11 Pro photos will be on the left. The Samsung Galaxy S20 photos will be on the right. So I'll try my best to kind of showcase best of both of them at the same time. I'll kind of adjust them as I go. And the way I took these photos, they were taken at the exact same times, the exact same efforts, and all that stuff. And on top of that, I let both phones autofocus. I didn't go and like change the focus and tap to focus and all that stuff. I did not do that at all. So they were taken the exact same times with autofocus, not tapping or anything like that. Now, looking at this first photo of this grass, you can see that right out the gate, there's already some pretty big differences. With the iPhone 11 Pro, you can see that, first of all, both photos look pretty good, but for some reason, the S20's photo looks a lot more popping in terms of the color, and it just looks brighter than the iPhone 11 Pro's photo. This one looks a little bit more dull, and that was one thing that I saw right out the gate. And obviously, when I start zooming in, that's when I see some more differences. If I look at this grass, for example, this specific one, you can see that, in my opinion, the Galaxy S20 did a better job at showcasing how the sharpness of this type of leaf and this type of grass, whereas on the iPhone 11 Pro, it looks a little bit more dull and a little bit more pixelated, in my opinion. If I zoom in a lot more, you can see a little bit more effort. And honestly, nobody's going to zoom in this much into the photo. They're all going to be looking at it like this. But that's just one thing, you're getting a little bit more detail, in my opinion, on the Samsung Galaxy S20 than on the iPhone 11 Pro. If I go ahead and look into like this specific thing right here, again, you can kind of see a little bit more difference right here, but between both, that really pretty much covers up the first photo. Now, hitting on the next one, this is pretty much of the camera lens that I always do. And again, you kind of start seeing some differences. And for some reason, I've been seeing that with my iPhones, the colors are pretty much more, I guess, consistent. But on the Samsung Galaxy side, the blacks and the dark colors are usually much sharper. And I'll go ahead and show you this again. Like if I look at just like this specific thing with like the dust at the top, and I zoom into this part, you'll see that once it kind of focuses, or this might be as focused as it gets, look how much darker and more sharper this camera lens looks than this camera lens looks. The same exact camera lens, and even the black color, you kind of see that it looks much darker and a little bit less washed out on the Samsung Galaxy S20 than on the iPhone 11 Pro. So not a crazy thing, not like a deal breaker, but that is one thing to keep in mind. Even the background on the iPhone 11 Pro looks a little bit different and a little bit more mundane than on the background of the Samsung Galaxy S20. However, one thing that I'm seeing is that these numbers are kind of a little bit more in focus than these numbers on the S20, so that is one thing to keep in mind. And I kind of started jumping all over the place, but you guys can be able to make up your own assumptions too. But that's kind of one thing that I've been able to see right out the gate. So between both, I think they both look almost the same, but for sure at the end of the day, I think the S20 did a better job here too. And this next one is just of a Rubik's Cube, and again, some trash over here, Chipotle cup. But between both, again, you can see they look almost the same until you start zooming in. And once you start zooming in here, you kind of see a little bit of how both cameras interpret the colors. If you look at this photo on the 11 Pro, you can see that the colors are a little bit more warm. But on the Galaxy S20, you can see they're a little bit more lighter and brighter, which is really cool, and I like that too. So again, one doesn't really like go crazy against the other one, but that is one thing to keep in mind, especially if you look at the background of both photos, you'll start to see some differences for sure. Now this is one of a different lighting setup, and I definitely wanted to showcase this one because, like I always say, you're not going to be taking these photos in consistent great lighting every single time. So with this one, you'll be able to see that even though this is pretty bad lighting, both phones were able to take a pretty decent photo of this. If I look at the top of, like, let's say the iPhone 3G, you kind of see that the darkness on the Galaxy S20, like I said before, is just better looking on the S20 than on the iPhone 11 Pro. And one thing that I'm able to see is that the pixels on the Samsung Galaxy S20 seem to be a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more detailed, so I'm able to see more of the details in these pixels than on the iPhone 11 Pro, which might be something that a lot of people don't want to see. But if you look at here too, I mean, look how much better this specific pixelated 15 by 15 pixel count on the iPhone 3G looks than on this one. This one looks a little bit more brighter, a little bit more washed out. The same exact time of day, you can see this time was taken at the almost the exact same minute. So the sunlight was the same and everything. So in my opinion, I think the Galaxy S20 again did a better job at this photo too. Now I wanted to take this picture of my carpet to showcase to you what basically both phones interpret the color as, and this actually turned out to be a pretty good color and pretty good photo overall. Once you start zooming in, you'll start to see some differences, and again, you can see a little bit more detail, and it's crazy to see these photos look like two completely different colors of these carpets. It doesn't even look like the same carpet, but they're literally the same exact thing, which is so surprising to me. And it's weird to me how both phones can interpret both of these colors. So between both, I mean, I don't know which one's the winner. I think maybe the iPhone 11 Pro is more true to color. I think this one looks a little bit more true to the color than what it is. But it's kind of weird. I mean, these look like two different carpets, but it's just two phones interpreting different colors at the same time. So I don't know which one of the winner is, but you guys can kind of see the photos there. And this is the next one of the curtain that I like taking, and this actually looks like a really good photo on both cameras. One doesn't really blow the other one out of the water here, and if I zoom in, maybe you'll see some differences, but again, like it's really whatever. Nobody's going to be zooming in this much, but in terms of the attention to detail, I think probably the Galaxy S20 wins here again. This color looks a lot more popping out. You kind of see more of this brown color than on the iPhone 11 Pro, so again, not a crazy winner between both of them, but I think the Samsung Galaxy S20 wins this one again. Even if I look into this color right here, you kind of see that it looks a little bit less washed out and a little bit less, I guess grainy on this side versus the iPhone 11 Pro right here, but both are very clear, both still look really, really good. Now this is the photo of portrait mode I took on both, and this is the live focus mode on the S20, and I think that the live portrait mode on the S20 looked a little bit better. If I zoom into the face, which freaks a lot of you guys out, but I like doing it, you kind of see that I think on the S20 it looks a little bit more sharp. If I zoom into the ear, for example, you'll be able to see before even I do it. I just know that on the S20, I think it'll look a little bit sharper, and if you look at the darkness on the background, you can see that it looks a little bit less grainy on the S20 than on the 11 Pro. Again, not a deal breaker or anything like that. You really notice it until you zoom in. But I think the overall photo looks better on the S20 for this one. Now this is a photo I took of outside of that little lamppost, and again, you won't really be able to notice too big of a difference, I don't think. When you start zooming in, that's when you start seeing some crazier things, like the light bulb, I think looks a little bit more brighter on the S20, which I kind of like. On the top, I don't really notice that big of a difference either. They kind of look like two different colored things at the top, like on the side. The iPhone 11 Pro did a good job at kind of keeping it kind of consistent, whereas on this one it looks like right here and a little bit darker here, where this one looks a little bit more consistent, but I think the S20 photo looks better. Now I took the same exact photo in ultra wide mode as well. Now I got my finger in there by accident, so just ignore that. But you can kind of see the quality of both of them. Maybe the quality is better on the S20. On the 11 Pro looks good too. One doesn't blow the other one out of the water, but the S20 photos are looking really, really nice, especially if you get them in really good lighting. Now, this is another photo of the leaf, and like I've said before, for these leaf photos show me so much between all of them. If I zoom into the bottom portion of the leaf and I zoom into the bottom portion of this leaf, you might be able to see some cute little differences. You're able to see a couple more of these little details right here. On the 11 Pro looks a little bit more grainy to me. I'm not really too sure why. That photos, when you zoom in, it starts looking grainy altogether. But yeah, both these photos look really, really nice. One doesn't blow the other one out of the water. This next photo is basically of the one that I usually take outside. And one thing I want to note here, and this is very important, for some reason the S20, and I saw this with the S10 as well, they like kind of over filtering the photos. Some people might like it, some people might not. On the iPhone 11 Pro, you can see that it looks pretty consistent. I mean, you can go around and mess with it later, but it looks like the S20 just over filters it from the beginning. I saw the same thing with the S10 too. Not a crazy thing, but it's one thing to keep in mind. I think the 11 Pros looks better in this one. Now this is one of just kind of the sideway, and I just wanted to see again to tell you this is how both phones interpret both these brown colors. You guys can kind of see, I mean, this one looks a little bit darker here, this one looks a little bit lighter, and I think I like the iPhone 11 Pro's photo here a little bit. And this is one of just a little footprint, and again, you might be able to see some differences, probably not, but both photos look really, really good. good. This one looks a little bit lighter, this one looks a little bit darker. I'm kind of liking the outdoor photos of the iPhone 11 Pro, but I like the indoor photos of the Samsung Galaxy S20. I think that's like how I would kind of sum up this whole entire thing. Now this is a very interesting one. If you look at it, you might be like, what the heck is this photo trying to showcase? But this is the telephoto lens from the exact same distance maxed out on both. So on the iPhone 11 Pro, this is as far as you can go standing in one place. On the Samsung Galaxy S20 with that 30 times zoom, you're basically able to zoom into this specific portion of the iPhone 11 Pro's photo on the Samsung Galaxy S20 without like cropping it or anything like that afterwards. It has that 30 times zoom, which is really cool. So look how much further you're able to get on the S20, this specific part in the photo that the iPhone 11 Pro cannot get into. So you probably are never going to use it, but that is a cool little feature that you have the capability of doing on the S20. Now I'll go ahead and show you guys the videos that I took on both, and I noticed for one thing, like I didn't really notice that big of a difference between both photos. I feel like the iPhone 11 Pro's photos did a little bit better at kind of auto-focusing the photos and kind of focusing on the photos when it needed to be. On the Samsung Galaxy S20, I felt like those videos were a little bit sharper, and I actually kind of liked that. I think the S20's video overall looked better, in my opinion, than the iPhone 11 Pro's, but it was still very close. Like I wouldn't trade one camera over the other one if I already had the phone, but I think this is how I would pretty much sum up the whole entire video and photo camera test that I did here. I think the iPhone 11 Pro does a very good job at outdoor photos and videos, as well as the audio quality is pretty good on the iPhone 11 Pro. It does really nice at, attention to detail. However, there are some cases where the photos are a little bit more grainier. With the Samsung Galaxy S20, I find it to do better in indoor photos and specific portrait mode type of photos that you're going to do. The video quality is also sharper, but the autofocus is a little bit, sometimes a little weird and wobbly on the S20, but I think I would probably side with the Galaxy S20 overall. I found those photos to be overall better than the iPhone 11 Pro's photos and more consistently better over time. I like both phones, I like both cameras, but I definitely do think that the Samsung Galaxy S20 probably has a better camera between both, at least from this test. So if you want me to do another test, if you want me to do an audio test or whatever, let me know in the comment section below. But if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button. That would mean so much. But definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count. So it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys could check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.